Hello, Michelle.
Hi, Anatoly. Welcome to class. How are you doing?
Thank you very much. I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well. So, welcome to class. This is a class on current events all around the world. And my name is Michelle, and I'll be your teacher for today. So, what we're going to do is first talk a little bit about news and how different people get their news. And then we're going to read three different articles about three different current events that happened this week. Okay, so one is going to be about the blizzard that happened in the US this week. Another is going to be about the closing of the case of the Malaysian Airlines flight. And the last one is going to be about the recent death of an Argentine prosecutor, Alberto Nisman. Have you heard of any of those three stories?
Yes, I heard.
Which one?
Uh,
All of them?
I think every last event about the death of who?
Of a prosecutor, Nisman, Nisman. So we'll talk about it in more depth, but there was a terrorist attack in Argentina in 1994, and they were investigating it to see what happened and who was behind it. And the day before they were supposed to go to trial, the main prosecutor, the main person that was going to show evidence against Argentina, was found dead in his apartment.
Hmm. I heard
So,
about it, but I didn't read it precisely. Just heard about prosecutor in Argentina. Yes, and previous event also I know, and I think every events known for me are known.
awesome. Cool. Okay, so first, before we get into the articles, we're going to talk a little bit about how you get your news. So, do you read or listen to the news every day?
Yes, I I'm reading uh, in internet
Mm-hmm.
news sites in internet, and also I have a subscription to some newspapers and magazines in Facebook or in Google Plus.
Awesome, cool. So, do you think it's important to keep up to date with current events in the news? Do you think it's something that people should do?
I think yes, sometimes where we have lots of bad news, I thought about breaking this deal,
Uh,
but
you
I
mean like
think
sometimes it's mostly just sad news, like people
yes,
dying or bad things happening?
yes, but we have also uh, lots of neutral news, not good, not bad, just information from news of science in science and etc. In culture, in literature.
Yeah, it's important to have a balance, right? To not get too bogged down with all the bad things happening. But do you think it's in general really important to be well informed, to know what's happening in the world? Or do you think it's not that important?
Mm, I'm not sure that it is important for everyday life because it have influence for our everyday life, but this influence is not direct, and
Exactly,
I,
yeah.
I, I think we can avoid also reading, especially bad news. It could help keep our nervous system from stresses.
Too much stress, right?
Yes, but I,
But
I,
do you
uh,
think,
I, I'm trying to be in touch in with the news sites. I can just show you in my screen. You can see on the uh, I think it is. We can see it. Oh no, it. Yes. This one. No. You can see. You can see only. I just wanted to say to show you my favorites because I have in favorites and links. Links from Guardian, CNN, BBC. Daily Beast, Washington Times, Wire, Mirror, USA Today, Fox, Time, uh, Voice of America, Marsh, Daily Telegraph, Fiscal Times.
Oh my God, you have a lot. Yeah, definitely. Good. So you definitely think it's important. It's something that you take the time to do every day, right? Because some people don't think it's worth it. Sometimes people think that if it doesn't have to do with their day-to-day life, it's not important. And others think that it's extremely important, right, to keep up to date, to know what's happening in different parts of the world. Because even though it might not affect you directly, it might indirectly have some sort of effect on you and maybe your government and people's reactions. It might reach you at some point in some way. Okay, so how do you get your news? Do you ever watch the news on TV, or is it just online? Do you ever get a print newspaper?
I watched TV not often in the morning and during my breakfast when I'm drinking tea before I go to my job, and in the evening before I'm going to sleep. And mostly the main source of information for me, internet. I am reading, as I said before, newspapers and news sites.
Cool. So is there a particular program on TV that you usually watch, or is it just whatever is on?
Just news from English speaking programs. It is BBC, sometimes CNN,
Cool.
not specifically any resource of information. Russia Today sometimes.
Cool. So you already mentioned online. So nowadays, what do you think is the most common way that people hear about news? What do you think?
I think it could be 50-50%. Some people say that internet the most important information for nowadays, but maybe I'm not sure about that conclusion. Maybe TV stay the first resource of information for most of audience.
Cool, yeah. So I think it depends sometimes on the age group. So a lot of the generation actually get their news from Facebook, right? From people like linking to news articles or things like Twitter. And a lot of people actually watch TV through the internet, right? So if they don't have a TV in their home, a lot of people stream news broadcasts to their computer. So online is definitely growing as a way that people get their news. Do you ever listen to radio shows? Do you know any radio shows that give news?
Not much. I don't like exactly that kind of TV show. For practice English, I listened to, for example, from BBC 6 Minute English. It is not exactly a radio show, maybe a little similar 6 Minute English, when two people usually talked about some topic, and it looks like show, but a radio show, but not exactly.
Cool. Have you ever heard of NPR, which is National Public Radio? It's
Yes,
really
yes,
popular.
yes.
It's
I
really popular
like
in the
this
US.
resource. Yes, I like this resource. Maybe for now I constantly change preferences in putting a link which I look usually. And for nowadays, NPR, the first one from English resources. After NPR, I am looking to my favorites links. After NPR, Yandex, Yahoo. After that, Guardian, CNN, BBC.
Cool. Yeah. So the NPR is great because they have lots of different specific shows. So sometimes they have like game shows that are about news. For example, one of my favorite NPR shows is called Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me. I don't know if you've heard of it. Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me. It's a game show, but it's a game show that uses information from current events. So it's every Sunday. They play games like you have to fill in the blank for different news facts, news stories that happened around the world. They have some games that are, they give you 3 really absurd sounding news stories and one is true, and you have to pick which one is true. And so it's a fun way to get the news without, you know, having to read lots of sad information about people dying or anything. It's a really nice, different way to get news every Sunday. That's one of my personal favorite ways to get news.
Yes, personally, I read this main page on npr.org. It is difficult to find a definite program because they more oriented for definite audience. And on the main page, usually we can find the news, usually in the middle, not bad, not good, mostly good news about traveling, for example, something interesting in culture, etc., in business. Yes, I like this source, and possibility to listen also very good.
Yeah. So that's one of my favorite things is that it's nice that it's a radio show because a lot of people these days, I think radio is definitely on the decline in terms of as a news source. But I like it because it's something that I can put on and like clean the house or do something else that I don't have to be actively watching something. So I can listen to it while I work out, while I ride my bike somewhere. It's actually a really nice way. You can listen to people talking, get your news, and do something else. So it's one of my favorite ways. But radio is definitely on the decline. So what about you? So today or this week, have you read anything or heard anything recently? Are there any current events that happened this week that really caught your attention, that you found really interesting?
I don't know which event could be good for discussion.
No, just your personal preference. So, for example, like, so I always tend to remember events that make me want to do more research, right? So generally every morning I look at the certain pages that I have that come up whenever I open my browser, right? There's 3 or 4 news sources I always read, but I always seem to remember ones that I really click on and do more research, right? So, for example, when the U.S. opened relations with Cuba, that was something that I was really interested in. So I did lots of extra research, right? So it was like my normal daily routine, but it was a piece of news that really caught my attention. So I clicked on it, read the whole article, and searched for more articles to really find out what was happening. So I don't know if there's anything that really caught your attention this week or anything that really stood out. If not, it's fine, but I was just wondering.
Okay. We can we can look to my reading list, which links which I kept in my Safari browser last time. For example, this article from the Telegraph about headphones that after smartphones appears, they don't produce special plugin for headphones, and equipment went to the past. Next interesting for me was to read about this person from Wikipedia. This person, we can see a picture of which was made by Leonardo da Vinci. Yes. Next, what else? Google Apps experts. I wondered how we can use private chat in Google Plus Hangout. You can see article about this. Next, article from Forbes, predictor of career success according to network science. I don't remember why I kept it. Maybe something interesting. Traveling in Europe is about to get a whole lot cheaper from Washington Post. Next, some things that shocked me when I moved from New York to London. Maybe also could be interesting. Next, about Netflix, about Friends. I know that in the US now this serial is repeats.
Yeah, but yeah, it's definitely lots of repeats.
After that, Facebook, Apple, and Microsoft they predict a new era of internet. I think about this. Next, about maybe oil producing in the US. West of Sunset from Scott Fitzgerald about his novel. It is from NPR. I listened to the radio program with the author who described the difficult period of time of Scott Fitzgerald.
Awesome. Great. Yeah. So yeah, you definitely have a. Yeah, you've got a lot. Yeah. So that's what I meant. Yeah, things that really caught your attention, things that you maybe wanted to save for later. Exactly. Yeah. So it's always good. So you definitely seem like someone that consumes a lot of news. That's a good thing. Awesome. So like I said, today in class we're going to read 3 specific articles. So we're going to read them together and go over any tough words, any vocabulary that you're not sure of, and then sort of discuss what happens and what you think of the current event. So like I said, I've got 3 options. So I'm going to let you choose, since you're the only student in class, which one we start with. So I said there's the story about the U.S. blizzard that just happened on the East Coast. There's a story about the Nissan trials in Argentina. And then there's a story about the Malaysian airline flight that went missing last year. So which one do you want to start with?
From the first, maybe.
The blizzard?
U.S. blizzard.
Okay.
I heard about it and watched a few pictures from New York.
Yeah, there was a lot of snow. Yeah, so I actually went to college in Connecticut. So a lot of my friends and family had lots of snow this week. School was canceled on Tuesday. There was a huge blizzard. Okay, so could you read these first 2 little paragraphs?
1 second. As it became obvious on Saturday that a major blizzard was going to hit the northeast, without line. The track and size of the storm became critical as to which areas would be hit the hardest. The blizzard of 2015 has hit with all its fury in central and eastern Long Island to southern and eastern New England. The storm that started off as a moisture-starved Alberta clipper has caused major disruptions.
Good. Okay, good job. So we can see the picture here, right? So the Northeast, right, just means this region of the United States, right? So we've got like New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, the Northeast. So were there any words in these 2 paragraphs that were new or difficult?
I'm thinking about northeast
Northeast.
Is it right spelling without line, without breaking line?
Yep, northeast, northwest. Yep, so we commonly will see things like the American Southwest or the Pacific Northwest. Yep, they combine things when they're talking about directions, right? So you can combine anything between south, north, east, west, southeast. Yep, that's correct to say that.
I asked it because I thought that commonly we should spelled it this one.
With a dash or with the space?
With a dash.
Actually, so yeah, so no, it's actually correct to do it with no dash. So so if you say like northeastern, eastern, it's actually going to be incorrect if you use a dash like north.
Okay.
Yeah, we always combine it. So yeah, so northeastern becomes an adjective. The northeast, the northwest, the southwest becomes nouns. So, and you know what it refers to, right? When it says the northeast, like this part of the U.S.
I don't know. I also like to ask about hardest. Hardest, it is the last word in the first paragraph. Hardest. I know that it is adjective.
So it's the superlative. It's the superlative form of hard, right? Which, like difficult, right? So the storm became critical as to which areas would be hit the hardest, so affected the most or hit the worst, right? So which areas would see the most snow, would see really the most, the biggest experience of the storm, right? Which areas would be hit the hardest. Does that make sense?
Yes, I understood. Thank you.
Good. Okay. Anything else?
Most starved.
Yeah, moisture. So moisture, right, just means like wetness, right? And starved means lacking. So you know, if I say I'm starving, right, it means I'm really hungry. So to be starved of something means that you're lacking it. So this storm, and moisture, like I said, is like wetness, right? Humidity, wetness, moisture. So the storm started off with just sort of heavy winds and didn't have any precipitation, right? So it didn't have any rain. So it started off as just sort of like wind, and then it became a bigger storm and gained momentum, and then gained moisture and started snowing and raining and sleeting.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, I understood. Thank you.
Good. Okay. Let's move on. So this is just related. So let's read. Let's go these two.
Much of Long Island at southern and eastern New England was buried under 22 inches of snow.
So 12 to 24.
12 to 24 inch of snow. Localized snowfall amounts approached 3 feet in New England. This storm brought the greatest snowfall on record to Worcester, Massachusetts, with 34.5 inches. Prior to the blizzard of 2015, the biggest single storm snowfall was 33 inches, set during March 31, April 1.
Yeah, so March 31st to April 1st. Yeah, so we when we talk about dates, we use ordinal numbers.
Yes. April the 1st, 1997.
1997. Okay. So I assume that since you live in Russia that you use the metric system, right? So the US is
Yes.
about the only people in the world that use the other that don't use the metric system, right? So do you have a good sense more or less how much 12 to 24 inches is, or 3 feet?
No, just from context that it is a lot, not
It's a
much.
lot. So 3 feet is about a meter.
Mm.
It's about 1 meter. So there was a meter of snow everywhere
Mm.
in everywhere in the Northeast. And then so 33 inches is about, yeah, it's about a meter. 3 feet is about a meter. This is about let's say 3/4 of a meter, about 0.75. So a lot of snow, much more than we typically see at this time of year. So any new words, any tricky vocabulary?
No.
Nope. Good.
No.
Okay. Okay, so then let's read these next three.
Blizzard conditions occurred for approximately 9 hours in Boston, where 24.6 inches of snow fell. The blizzard of 2015 now ranks as number 6 in the list of greatest storms on record for Boston. The greatest single storm snowfall was during February 17, 18, 2003, when 27.6 inches fell. Approximately 9.8 inches fell on New York City's Central Park, with 11.4 inches at LaGuardia Airport.
LaGuardia.
Much less snow fell in the Philadelphia area. The storm delivered 1-2 inches to the city.
Yeah, so when we see the dash, when it's like 1-2, you're going to say like 1 to 2. So it's like 12 to 24, it's like 12 to 24, yeah.
And
it's like a range, right?
And 11.4, maybe I need to read 11 and 4 inches.
Nope, 0.4 is the right way. No, when there's decimals, that's exactly how we talk about them. So, I actually recently gave a class on how to talk about different numbers. So when we do decimals, the rule is that we always say point. So if it's like 34 point something, but whatever numbers come after the decimal point, we say individually, so not together. So if it, for example, this number, that would be 34.567, not 34.567, right? So that's how we talk about decimals. We always say point and then read the numbers individually that come after.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Yeah, just so you know. Okay, so then any new words for this one?
I think no.
No? Great, okay. So we've got a picture here. So this is the northeastern part of the United States. So remember they said Philadelphia only had 1 to 2 inches, and they said the highest place was Worcester, Boston, which got about a full meter, right? So this is this blue section. So this is more or less what happened. New York City, luckily, didn't even really get hit that hard, while as parts of Connecticut, Rhode Island, which is right here, and parts of Boston really were hit the worst. So this is a picture, and this was Monday, early Wednesday. So this lasted for about 2 days. So let's finish up. We've got 4 more little paragraphs. So can you read the next 2?
So, what caused the storm to drop less snow along
I-95. I-95. It's a freeway.
I-95 corridor in the mid-Atlantic from Philadelphia to New York City. According to AccuWeather.com, Chief Meteorologist Elliot Abrams, the storm was more compact than we thought it would get. As a result, the back edge of the heavy snow and strong winds were farther to the east. Once the storm next or
Sure. If there's no words that you're confused about, then yeah, go ahead.
Once the storm hit the Atlantic Ocean on Monday, it began to strengthen tremendously and more steadily northeastward rather than south. The storm also began to track a few dozen miles farther east than speculated on Sunday. Had the storm swelled larger by 50 miles farther west, blizzard's conditions would have reached New York City, and heavy snow accumulation would have edged into the Philadelphia area.
Good, good. Okay, so how about these little 4 paragraphs? Any new words? Any tricky vocabulary?
About 195 corridor. What does it mean?
Yeah, so I-95 stands for Interstate 95. Interstate. So that's how we talk about freeways and roads in the United States. Freeways. So it's like a big road. So it's called interstate because it's the highway that connects different states. So the I-95 goes from Boston into Connecticut and into New York. So it's called the interstate because it is a highway, like a big road that connects all of the states. And when it says the I-95 corridor, it means like the line, right? So if you can tell, I'm doing it with my mouse, right? The travel from Boston to New York is right about where the snowfall stopped, right? It's all to the right of where that road is. So that's where they're asking why was there less snow along this corridor than there was supposed to be? Because they predicted that there was going to be this much snow, there was going to be about 1 meter of snow in this whole area. So they were actually wrong. So predictions were wrong for this storm, and it was less severe and more concentrated than they thought it was going to be.
Okay.
Yeah, so that just refers to a road. So yeah, if you're not from the United States, it's kind of hard to know what it means, but it's more or less this this path here. Good. Anything else?
Stall rather than stall.
Stall. Rather than stall. To stall means to halt or stop momentarily. Means stop or halt momentarily.
Okay.
So once it hit the Atlantic Ocean, it strengthened tremendously and steadily moved up the northeast, right? It moved northeastward instead of stalling. So instead of staying in one place, right, and causing more snow, it kind of just kept moving upwards. So that's why we can see, right, there's more dark colors up here. So instead of staying here, which is where they predicted that the most snow was going to fall, it actually went upward and hit more of like Maine and New Hampshire instead.
Okay.
So stall, yeah. So stall is just to stay in the same place. Anything else?
And yes, next word, swelled in the last paragraph.
Swell.
Swelled.
Swell. To swell is to get larger, to increase in size, to get larger. So have you ever seen swollen? Have you seen the word swollen?
I think I heard this
Hmm.
word
So if you say something
in
is
terms of maybe water in ocean,
Mhm.
in the
So
sea.
for example, if I broke my wrist and I look at my two wrists and one is like this big and one is normal size, I would say, "Oh my gosh, my wrist is so swollen." Right? So it's
Uh,
when something gets bigger and kind of like gets fatter. To swell is to like fill with things and expand.
mhm,
So bodies of water can swell right after rainfall. They can get bigger. So this case since it's talking about a storm, right? It's swell to get bigger, to sort of increase its diameter, right? To increase its area. So in this case, it says had the storm swelled larger by 50 miles, right? So if it had gotten bigger by 50 miles, then the conditions would have reached New York City like they had expected, right? So they
mhm,
predicted that New York was going to see a lot of snow, but it actually didn't. And so this last sentence is kind of saying, well, had it have gotten bigger, it would have actually hit New York, but it didn't.
mhm. Okay.
Yeah, anything else?
No,
Perfect, awesome. Okay, so I'm sure. So what part of Russia do you live in? Do you see a lot of snow?
I live in Moscow.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Awesome. So do you see lots of snow?
Not a lot of as we read now in this article. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
for
Not a
example,
meter.
not a meter, not a meter. Not so much maybe snow, but we can say that it's snowing sometimes. For example, I can show you in my screen, 1 second, a photo which I took this Sunday. You can see on my screen. Is it a lot snow? Maybe not.
But it's
Just
definitely
cover it,
snow, yeah. Mm-hmm.
ground covered by snow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like for example, in Buenos Aires, we don't see snow at all. There's no snow. It does not snow here. So people here get really cold and complain when it's like, like I don't know, 13 degrees is really cold Celsius. And people wear scarves and coats. Where I'm used to, snowstorms like this that we just read about. So I don't think it's anything. Okay. So have you ever had a big snowstorm in Moscow? Has there ever been a big storm that's hit and left lots and lots of snow?
Mm, Sometimes, but not extremely lots of snow.
Hmm.
Sometimes it is difficult work for special services who, I mean, municipality who care about uh, removing snow from the streets. And sometimes they work all the night uh, for a purpose to remove snow from the uh, roads
Hmm.
because it is very big megapolis, Moscow, and if they wouldn't do it, next morning could be very difficult traffic.
Exactly, yeah. So has there ever been so much snow that your work or that like school was canceled?
Mm, in Moscow, I don't remember
No.
that situation. Maybe only it could be reason for delaying for 2 hours, not
Oh,
more.
okay. Huh. Yeah, so for example, like I said, you saw in the picture Connecticut, that's where I have friends that are at my university. So on Tuesday, no, they canceled all operations. So no one had school because there was so much snow and they had to give everyone time to clear the roads so that people could walk to class and things.
Mhm.
So, yeah, cool. Awesome.
Maybe they are happy because it is additional work or study of day for them.
Yeah, it was nice. It's nice when school gets canceled. Good. Okay. So we probably only got time for one more article. So which one would you want to read about? We've got the Nisman trial in Argentina or the Malaysian airline flight.
Let's read about Malaysian airflight.
Okay. So this was something that happened last year, right? So this news article is from this week because they officially declare the plane an accident and they stop searching for survivors. So could you read the headline, the subtitle, and then the subtitle for the picture?
Here,
let me get this bigger. Yeah.
MH317 or maybe 370 Malaysia.
I would say 370. Yeah, like MH370.
370. Malaysia officially declares disappearance of plane an accident. Officials declare search for survivors over, but underwater hunt for missing plane to continue.
Okay. And then
The Phoenix International Autonomous Underwater Vehicle AUV Artemis during the search for MH370 photograph.
Okay. Yeah. So this is what they've been using to search for debris of the plane. Exactly. Okay. So this is from Beijing today at 11:39. So, can you read these first two paragraphs?
Malaysia has officially declared the disappearance of missing Malaysia Airlines flight MH370, an accident and its passengers and crew presumed dead, 327 days after it vanished. The announcement cleared the way for the company to pay compensation to families, but provoked fury among relatives of the 239 people on board, some of whom believe there is still a chance their loved ones may be alive. Several said they could not accept the decision.
Good. Okay, so how about those two paragraphs? Any words? Do you know what fury is?
Fury, maybe it similar to fears, but fears is scary, fears, extremely.
Fear. So fear, but fury has more of the connotation of anger. So if someone
Anger,
is,
yes.
so it's like, have you heard the word furious? So if someone is furious with you, it means they're so beside themselves with anger. They're so mad. They're so angry. So fury is the noun of the adjective furious. So if someone is furious, they're really, really upset and angry. And then so like it says, it provoked fury, meaning it made them furious. Right? It made relatives furious. Any words?
No.
No? Okay. So let's read the next two paragraphs.
Civil Aviation Chief Ashaddin Abdul Rahman said the search effort had pursued every credible lead and reviewed all available data, but had failed to locate the plane. He insisted the hunt for the wreckage would continue. He said that Malaysia was officially declaring, with heaviest hurt and deepest sorrow, that those on board had lost their lives, given the length of the search and the highly unlikely prospects of survival in the remote stretch of the southern Indian Ocean where the plane is believed to have ended its flight.
Good. Okay. What about these then. So any new words, any new terms?
No, I think no.
Do you know what it means if something is credible? What does it mean to have a credible lead?
In that context, credible, possible, maybe.
Possible. Yes, so credible, right, can come from credit. So if something is credible, it means they have a good source to back it up with, right? So you'll hear if something is incredible, usually means something's like amazing, but it literally means you can't believe it, right? It's incredible. It's unable to be believed. So if something is incredible, people nowadays use it to say something's really good, but the other one is credible. Credible means very believable, trustworthy, source that you know that you can credit, right? You can credit someone with having given you the information. So they're only looking for credible leads, ones that are backed up.
Okay.
Good. Okay, anything else?
I think no.
Good. Okay, so let's go to these next two. The plane lost.
The plane lost contact with air traffic control shortly after takeoff from Kuala Lumpur Lampuran Road to Beijing on 8 March last year, in what remains one of aviation's biggest mysteries. Authorities say satellite data shows the plane delivered from its route and turned south, and that they believe the action was taken deliberately. But despite an mammoth international hunt, no wreckage had yet been found, and there is still nothing to indicate why the plane diverted.
Diverted. Good. Okay, so what about these two paragraphs? Any words that stick out as new or different?
Maybe diverted.
Diverted, yeah. So authorities say
Turned,
satellite
maybe.
data. Yeah, so to divert is to go a different path than what is expected or planned. So divert means to change paths, to turn unexpectedly. So it can be used in a lot of ways. So for example, if I say, I diverted to take a shortcut, right? Meaning that I changed the path I was on to take a shortcut. Or in a more abstract sense, if I say, like, I had a 5-year plan, I was going to go to this school and get this degree, but then 2 years in, I diverted my plan a little bit and decided to get a job doing something else. Right, so divert, to change what has previously been set or planned.
Okay.
So the plane wasn't scheduled or wasn't planned to go this route, but it diverted, right? So it diverted from its route and turned south. So it wasn't supposed to, or it wasn't planned for it to go that way, but for some reason it did. Right. Anything else? Any other words?
Deliberately, it means something forced to change
So
direction.
it means,
yes?
so it means on purpose. It means intentionally. So they believe that the action was taken intentionally. So they believe that the pilot chose to take this course, right? So that it wasn't an accident, wasn't some sort of outside force. To do something deliberately means to do something with purpose and intention. So even though they don't know why, they believe that it wasn't, like it wasn't taken by force, it wasn't an accident, it wasn't a malfunction with the plane that caused it to change its route, that someone on the plane, right, decided and then took the action to change the route. So it was deliberate.
And mammoth, next word.
Good. A mammoth international hunt. So based on the context here, do you have any guesses, right? So despite a mammoth international hunt, no wreckage has yet been found.
Mammoth.
Any
Maybe,
guesses?
maybe lots of something big.
Exactly, yeah. So this is used in an abstract sense, but to call something mammoth means to say like gigantic. Because mammoth, the actual word, right? Have you ever heard of a woolly mammoth? The animal?
Not
Woolly
sure.
mammoths. So woolly mammoths are supposedly ancestors of like elephants. So they were. Oh, if you ever seen, have you ever seen the movie Ice Age?
Yes, yes, yes. I
With
understood.
the husks. So
Yes,
those are mammoths, and they're supposed to be gigantic animals, right? And so
mammoth.
nowadays, that sort of entered the language to mean something that is gigantic in nature. So to say something was a mammoth international hunt means that everyone was doing something. It was a very large scale investigation. Lots of people tried. And despite all of these grand efforts, still nothing has shown up. Yeah, so to call something mammoth is to really exaggerate, to say that it was gigantic.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, I understood.
Great.
It's strange
Okay.
to meet this word in this context for me. It
Yeah,
is
that's kind of
new.
why I told you the origin, right? So it originates in sort of a really big animal, but has gradually entered the lexicon to just really exaggerate when you're trying to talk about the scale of something. You know, to say it was a mammoth proposal means that it was a really, really like big and complicated proposal. Mammoth.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else in those two paragraphs?
No.
No. Good. Okay, those were good ones, right? So divert, deliberate, and mammoth. Okay, so let's read the next two.
Asharburdin said the lack of physical evidence, particularly the flight recorders, meant there was no evidence to substantiate speculation as to the cause of the disappearance. An interim statement on the investigation will be released on or around the 1-year anniversary of the accident. He said the government acknowledged the announcement would be difficult for the relatives to consider, much less accept. It is nonetheless important that families try to resume normal lives, or as normal a life as may be possible after this sudden loss.
Good. Okay, so how about this? Any new words? There's a few tricky ones, right? So do you know what it means to be able to substantiate something?
Substantial, maybe it could be to prolong, to defer. No.
So no evidence to substantiate speculation. So substantiate is the verb of substantial, which comes from substance. But to say something has substance means that it has proof, it has evidence, right? So to say something is substantial means that, yeah, that it's, it's a good claim. To say something has no substance is like an insult, or to say that like you have no case, you have no proof. So to say substantiate means to provide substance, to provide proof, right? So in this case, the sentence, right, is that they have no evidence to substantiate speculation. So they don't have anything to provide any idea, right, as to why it went missing. So to substantiate is to provide proof, or to provide, grounds for investigation, any sort of information that helps further a cause. Substantiate. Good. Okay. Anything else in those two?
1 second. Nonetheless, I think I heard this word maybe a long time ago. I don't remember. It is also
Which
maybe
one?
important. Nonetheless.
Oh, nonetheless. Nonetheless.
Nonetheless.
Yeah, nonetheless, it's like it's still, yeah, still important, right? It is still
Ah.
important that families try to resume normal life.
Mhm.
Good. Okay, and then there's one I wanted to go over, interim. Do you know what interim means?
Interim. No.
So
Don't know.
interim, an interim statement means sort of progress. So interim means in the middle or during something. So for example, if I say, like, I am doing a 4-year degree, but in the interim, I'm going to be working for a publishing company, right? So in the interim, like during, like while something else is happening. So since they're going to give an interim statement, it means to sort of report on the progress so far, right? So to give a report during the investigation.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, we're almost out of time for class, so let's see if we can finish this. Okay, so do you want to read just the last bit he added?
He added, without in any way intending to diminish the feelings of the families, it is hoped that this declaration will enable the families to obtain the assistance they need, in particular through the comprehension process.
Compensation.
Compensation process. Praising the commitment of China and Australia to the search, he added that it remained a priority for Malaysia. We have never wavered in our commitment to continue our efforts to find MH370 and bring closure for everyone, most of all for the families of the passengers and crew of MH370. This declaration is by no means the end, he vowed, but family members remain suspicious that authorities will call off the hunt even if no wreckage is found.
Good. Okay. So before we end class, any 1 or 2 words that really stuck out as new?
I think no.
No? Okay, good. Okay, well, we're out of time, but thank you so much for coming to this class. I really think it's important to keep up to date with current events. It makes me happy to see that you have so many different news sources on your bookmarks. So I'll probably be offering this class every once in a while just to talk about current events. Have you heard of the television show Last Week Tonight?
No.
Tonight? So it's sort of like a pseudo-comedy news show that talks about all of the world events in the week. So I think I'm going to start offering this class weekly and show clips from that. So they're funny ways to talk about really serious things, and then always talk about new articles, watch some fun videos. So I hope you liked this class. I hope you learned some new vocabulary, and I hope to see you again sometime soon in another Linguistiko class.
Thank you very
Thanks so
much, Michelle. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Okay.